begin the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Matthew Fulton and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Matthew and Dan.
Welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Today is, of course, like clockwork. As soon as we go live, my machine, my other machine just restarts. So, and behind me, if you hear anything, they are tearing apart the RV park that we're in. So there's bobcats and heavy machinery behind me. So I apologize for that. But I can't move a construction job, unfortunately. I don't have that much pull in the park here. But Matthew, how are you today?
Dan, I'm doing good. But first, real quickly, luckily AI has done such a great job of doing noise reduction. We don't hear any of that stuff. So it's good seeing you recently out in Florida, and I'm excited for this conversation today. Ted, I'm glad you're here with us. We were pre-talking a little bit earlier, and I think this is going to be a fun episode for sure.
Yeah, we always, this particular topic of AI in general always has a lot of unknowns and, I don't know, maybe fear, scared of the machines, that type of thing. And that's what we want to try to unpack here today, because as Ted was saying right before here, it's pretty amazing how little the adoption of AI in the accounting industry has occurred. Ted, what were you thinking about that?
I was just, for a industry that has so much technology, I can't think of any industry I can't think of any industry that has so many dedicated apps and technology and all this stuff. Holy smokes, there's so much technology to learn. I cannot believe that something like this is what people are afraid to get into. And it's so underutilized. Even if a lot of people get into it and start using it, it's so underutilized for what it can do. It just amazes me. And I think a lot of it, obviously we all have our real lives that we go into, but it might just be fear. And I can tell a story later about my fear doing it and what stopped me. But that's all we were talking about really, is just how underutilized it is, I believe, in this industry.
Yeah, and the subtitle of this particular episode is because the second best time to start is today. Like that, when's the best day to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but when's the second best time? It's today. So this is really what we're going to focus on here today, is about a way to jump in to the deep end of the AI pool without losing your floaties. My name's Dan DeLong, owner at Danwich and Schoolofbookkeeping. Worked at Intuit for nearly 18 years, co-hosting today, as well as the workshop Wednesdays tomorrow, Wednesdays, oddly enough, at Schoolofbookkeeping.com. And Matthew.
Hello, everybody. Matthew Fulton here with Parkway Business Solutions and the Facebook group QB Community Live. Really, again, you're talking about going backwards and planting things, and I'm going to use a quick second to say, I just imagine this AI image of Bill and Ted getting into their phone booth, going backwards in time and planting trees for all of us would have been great. But yeah, that's me. QB Community Live, Parkway Business Solutions.
All right, and joining again, not with MakerCode, but as a certified prompt engineer specialist today.
What did you call me yesterday? Go ahead.
I wanted to call you a promptologist.
I'm a promptologist, not a proctologist. Thank you.
No.
Yeah, and
I'm the latex gloves or no?
I forgot the latex gloves. They were all too small for my hands. No, and I'm a self-proclaimed propeller head. Anything technology, app-wise, everything I just completely love. Anything that's going to build efficiencies. And that's really how I've tried to build my career, is how do we build efficiencies for people that, especially folks that are trying to do this whole value-based pricing, right? So efficiency is key in our industry. The faster you can do something, the better it is, as long as it's accurate, right? Because speed is important, but speed without accuracy is horrible. So how can we be more efficient, but still contain and keep that accuracy?
Yeah, there was one of the values at Intuit was, I can't remember what the value was, but it was work fast. And they ended up changing that value to work smart, work fast, right? Because you can do dumb things fast.
Yeah.
And that's how AI is fitting into this picture. The speed of which this technology is coming in and really disrupting a lot of things. I think that's part of the fear, I think, that of people feeling like it's going to leave them behind with AI. So before we get into the meat and potatoes, let's do a little housekeeping. Details about the QB Power Hour. It's every other Tuesday at noon Eastern. It's eligible for CPE. Makers Hub used to be our CPE sponsor, so appreciate what you did there for us at TED. But now we're using Earmark for that. So after the session, about 5 days later, there will be a course to take over at Earmark to get the CPE credit. And I'm sure Ted is appreciative that he doesn't have to do all that.
It was a good transition period. It was good helping you out in the transition period. But yes, it was a lot of work to create 88 CPE certificates and making sure that everyone was there on time and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. We do have an Earmark channel for QB Power Hour. You can always check the link out there. If you have specific questions about the topic that we're going to be talking here today, please put them in the Q&A. We should see a little Q&A button at the bottom of the webinar. That helps us keep track of those questions, because as all of the AI bots that are joining us are announcing that in the comments, those comments just seem to go by and scroll by really quickly. So appreciate if you have specific questions, please put them in the Q&A so we can make sure we can either address them live or follow up. But if you have just general comments, please put them in the chat. And then we also have the links for the handouts, which I was about to socialize, but again, my computer restarted. Hopefully we've got those in the social media live stream as well. We also do have a QB Power Hour store, so you too can have a pink hat like me. I need to order one. All right, so we're going to start off with our first polling question as a kind of a setting the stage and setting the foundation of what we're going to talk about here as a self-assessment. What is your comfort level with AI? Anything from novice, where it scares me, to I'm an AI ninja, fully embracing this technology and incorporating the advanced features. And Ted, can you talk about your journey with AI, like how you became a promptologist?
A promptologist, yeah. So I started, you know what the funny thing is, so I was hearing about this AI thing, and this was way back when, a few years ago, when AI actually was only up until, I think it was September of 2021. So anything new, we were in 2022 or the late ends of 2021 when I started using it. So anything new, it had no idea. You couldn't ask who won the World Series or what are the odds. You couldn't do anything like that. And so when I first started out, and probably there's a lot of people like novice, it scares me. A lot of people, myself in particular, thought there was a specific like magic to asking the prompts. So I searched all over the internet when I first started using ChatGPT for ChatGPT prompts. How do I do prompts? How do I do this? And what I soon found out after searching for weeks and weeks is that there are no specific, anyone can give you, oh, here are 10 prompts that you should use. Everyone should use in accounting. But realistically, that's not really what you should be doing in ChatGPT. And there's really no way, there's no specific, here's exactly how you should do it. There's a framework. And so that's what I didn't really realize until I became a promptologist, is that it's dirty work. No, I'm kidding. Talk
about digital.
Yeah, it's a digital work. It's really about where you want to end up, what you want. And you got to think of it as, if I were to ask Matthew, hey, can you help me create a webinar that I want to do next month? Well, I wouldn't just tell Matt that, because he would be like, yeah, sure, here. And he'd just tell me everything that he thinks that I should do. But if I tell him, hey, Matt, I'm doing a webinar next month for a specific type of person, and it's at this conference, here's all the research on the conference. And then I do even more things like that. Now, Matthew has a framework to work with, where we can create awesome content for that. But if I don't give him all that basic stuff, like having a conversation with him, he's never going to know. So that's really how I started out with it way back when. And I've kept up with it. And I hate to say it, but I use it probably 50, 60 times a day.
Yeah, it's part of almost your everyday thing. The whole idea of the digital dyslexia, where if you don't have your phone to do basic math skills, you just purge that out. But I've got a calculator on my phone, so Ted and I are going to be doing a 4-part weekly cohort series over at School of Bookkeeping, where we're going to be talking and unpacking a lot of these things from the Mr. Rogers level of AI, and we'll maybe go up to Sesame Street, or maybe the electric company if we're lucky.
I'm sorry, Mr. Rogers is going to the promptologist is going to be the first episode.
Yeah. The friend.
He'll be happy taking off more than his shoes for that. But what we're going to be doing there is we're going to be talking, and today we're going to be talking about AI and large language model statistics. We'll just really keep this as a fireside chat, a type of thing, where we'll talk about what we're going to be unpacking in the cohort series, which will be called Prompts for Practices. Crafting effective prompt for accountants, where to go to register, and then we'll have a Q&A session about that. So let's talk about, Noah, did you share the results of the first poll? Because I thought that was really, did I just... So it looks like about 60, almost 70% are in the novice to basic level of the comfortability with AI. So let's talk a little bit about the impact of AI in small business, as far as an understanding of how businesses are using AI and the large language models. I really like this slide that you created here, Ted, about, because that's part of the thing for me was, what is Claude? What is all of these other, Gemini or Bard, I think they called it originally, and now it's got a new name to it. It's trying to keep all the players straight. But talk a little bit about this, Ted.
Yeah, so there's a few things here that really strike me as, especially in this industry, ChatGPT is like the Intuit in cases of this whole AI large language models. They were pretty much the first.
The Kleenex, right?
Yeah, they're the Kleenex. But the thing is they are in my opinion, the most reliable. I never stray, personally for me, I never stray from ChatGPT except for perplexity. And so there's different types of AI that people need to actually keep in mind. There's AI that can generate speech for you. 11 Labs, which I can give it a script, and I can either choose the audio person, or I can upload snippets of myself and create audio. There's like Gemini, there's Microsoft. So it all depends on what you're doing it for. So like Google Gemini, if you put it into the Google suite of tools, works perfect if that's what you're going to use it for. You can also attach ChatGPT to Google as well. But so it all really depends on what you're using it for. But the thing is, really quickly here, is that some of all these other ones, while you might like to use them and they're fine, they may not have the same technology as like just a regular old ChatGPT. So it really matters what you want to use it for.
Ted, can I just real quickly have you step back just a little bit, and can you give us a quick definition of what a large language model is? What is an LLM, and why is that important in what we're talking about?
Yes. So a large language model takes context from a person, right? And then will spit out an answer a real person would. So it takes your question, spits it out, and contextualizes it like you would in a regular conversation. Large language models are huge data sets. And I could really talk about like the prompts, what it does, but Matthew, what it really does is it takes your sentence and then it breaks it out into little chunks. All right. So it's like, for instance, the bill is due on May 1st. So we'll take that and it actually chunks that out, the bill, and then it says is due, and then it has the date. So it separates all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So it understands and then puts it back together so it can understand what you're talking about. The date actually referring to a date in the future that this document. So almost like, Matthew, do you remember when we were, not you and I together, but when you were in grade school and you had to cut a sentence apart and find out what is the adjective, what is the noun, what is the verb, and all of that stuff to show the context of a sentence. So large language models do the exact same thing, but in a more granular process. So they chunk that out. And right now I have old man brain, so I can't remember the name of what it's called. Oh, tokens. They chunk it out into tokens.
Okay.
And then each token, they analyze that token. And so what large language models have, it's just a huge data set. And now it goes and it returns it to you like a normal person would. So
another way to kind of say it, because Grace asked a good question earlier of what exactly can AI do in the accounting to assist in our work? That's obviously a huge question, but a quick answer way I feel when we're talking about LLMs, large language models, while the word language is in there, it's truly large data sets. So shameless plug here, Makers Hub has taken the ability to, when you scan in a whole bunch of different documents in different formats, there's this large database to try to understand where valid or important information is on a sheet, can extract it, and then understand the words that are on there to place it appropriately into the right fields for your accounting platform. Same thing where there's a lot of companies working on like check images now, trying to be able to pull that type of stuff. So the more data you have, the more it can reference to try to give you a better result is the intent of it all. Is that a good way to summarize it?
Yeah. And like the really cool thing that you can do with like ChatGPT now and all the other ones is, and this is what I did. I created an accountant AI. So it's just all he is, his name is Milo. And Milo knows a lot about accounting because every little thing that I see on LinkedIn, like people will do infographics and stuff like that, I just copy and paste it into Milo. So like how to analyze how to analyze a balance sheet versus a cash flow summary, versus a P&L and all of these other things, income statement. And so I just upload as much as information on accounting that I could find into Milo. I also have him look at different websites, and then now I can do things in accounting that maybe we couldn't do before, but I don't use that as the true source. So people will be like, I don't trust it. You shouldn't. That's the point, but it helps you get to where you want to be faster.
No, there's a lot of words here about the statistics, the usage and adoption. Anything you want to encapsulate, take away of all this? Of course, you can download the slides and take a closer look at some of these statistics. Ted?
Yeah, I think that what people need to realize on this is that the businesses don't think of it as it's going to take my job away. Think of it, especially like I said, being the propeller head that I am, what can we in this industry use it for? And we all know that there is a gap between like how many hours we can work and how much especially if you bill by the hour, you can only bill so many hours. But if you're value based, the faster we can do things, the more hours we can bill. So if I can take a balance sheet and have the first pass of analyzing it go through AI before I look at it, it's almost like, Dan, like what you say, having an intern look through my stuff. I wouldn't just send my intern's report to my client, but the intern's going to look and look for anomalies for me and things that are like red flags. And then I can review them with the data, with the mindset of an accountant to put my spin on it. And then I could even put it in and say, okay, Chat GPT, create the summary report for my client for this. But that doesn't mean I'm going to send that straight to my client. I still need to review. Now I take that summary report and build my report off of it. But how much time does that save us? It's astronomical when you use it as just the first set of eyes and create, instead of staring at a blank piece of paper, I always tell ChatGPT to write down a summary of my ideas. And then I don't start with a blank piece of paper. I just save myself 3 hours probably. And then the other thing, 49% of companies are currently using it and 30% intend to use it in the future. So for all of you, I was amazed at how many people said it scares me. What'd you say? 60% of people said they're in the first two buckets.
Yeah.
And we're like 5 years almost into Chat GPT, artificial intelligence right now, and large language models. It's time, like you said, Dan, it's time to start thinking about it.
It's the new disruptor of the day. You know, you look back at all the different things that disrupted the accounting industry. Cloud accounting is the latest up until this point. Excel, right? You can go back to all of these things.
What do you think about? I'm sorry.
Oh my God, it's going to change it's going to take my job, right? But it's not. It's just another tool that can assist and, to your point, provide you more leverage to do the things that you want to do faster. Right?
Think about it. They're in, Dan, they talk about them as technology eras, yeah. Right? So we had the first era was the www era, where we connected everyone online. And that was a game changer for all of us. And then there was the cloud era, where we actually started sharing data with each other. Then there was the mobile era, where now we're connected to our mobile phones. And now we're in the AI first era. And so this is it's not going away. And this is where it's really going to be. Yeah, thank you, Matthew. You're right.
Exactly. So this one, what accountants are using AI for, right? You've got the basic level where it's creating some content. So starting you off with that 3 hours of savings, like you were just talking about, instead of staring at a blank document, get it to start with that rough draft. And then the intermediate level. So you want to talk us through these different levels?
Yeah. So if you think about it at the basic level, and it seems like probably 70%, I don't mean to, if it's less, that's fine, but it seems like 70% of the people on here are at the very basic level, using it to look at an email. Is it right? I want to create an email for this and that, or I need to create a blog, which people are probably not using it the right way, even if they're using it in the basic level. Now the intermediate level, we're allowing large language models or AI, ChatGPT, whatever you want to call it, we're allowing it to take it up because we're starting to trust it more. So we're allowing it to take us to a different step where, all right, I want to create maybe generate a demand letter, but I'm still not using it to its full potential. Or I'm generating a letter to a client that I need to fire, or I'm maybe creating small, easy SOPs, little things like that. So that's more of an intermediate level. And then maybe you're going in, and if you know what a GPT is, we're going to talk about it extensively in our School of Bookkeeping training that we're doing, but creating GPTs or using it to ask questions about a product. How do I create a formula, an Excel formula that sums all of this really cool stuff, and it just spews it out for us and shows us how to do it? That's pretty intermediate, right? Or how do I create a button in HTML? That's pretty easy, but you can say, how do I create a button that goes to this specific link with these colors, and when I hover over it, it changes colors, and when my mouse clicks on it, it shakes. So you could have it do more than just create a button in HTML. You can have it do every single thing and create the web page for you that the button goes on. So intermediate is just really basic, a tiny bit above the basic. We're getting into knowing how to create somewhat crafty prompts. The advanced level, we've created Milo, like I have, who is an accountant in my little Chat GPT world. And Milo knows a lot about accounting on a pretty awesome high level, because I feed in every single news thing that I get about it. I have him look at websites, all sorts of stuff. So anything I want to ask Milo or analyze, or Milo, today is the end of April. You're, as an accountant, what are you doing today? And Milo will tell me what the average accountant is doing. So now me as a marketer knows what to actually talk to the accountants about. So now we're getting more at an advanced level, right? Milo can analyze reports. I can have Milo generate demand letters, and I can have Milo actually generate them based on a level of friendliness, aggressiveness, and how late it is. I can say, Milo, generate a demand letter for my client with an aggressiveness of 7, because he already knows of 1 out of 7, a friendliness of 2, and it was due on this date, and I upload the invoice, and he'll generate a demand letter that is more than just you need to pay. This is like the 3rd or 4th time. And then you can also do some pretty advanced or semi-advanced coding at that level, where maybe you're doing more than you're extracting databases, and you're doing really cool things like that, because you can do JavaScripts, you can do all sorts of stuff within ChatGPT. And in fact, my daughter's a software engineer, and they are not allowed. They have a program that scans they use artificial intelligence to scan their back-end code for minute errors. They're not allowed to use large language models to create code, but they use it to scan the code for errors. And then at the Ninja level, you're using it to think about it this way. If you could create a GPT and we, like I said, we'll talk about it, but a GPT is memorized information that you put in a little area of Chat GPT. Think about this. If I have a GPT where I can upload all of my SOPs, I can upload all of my company like hiring information and all that stuff. So when I have a new employee come on board that has a questions on standard operating procedures, they can just go into my GPT that I did. And I said, so if we have a client that refuses to give us their bank account information for QuickBooks Online, what do I do? And it just spits out all that information. That employee's just saved a lot of time having to go and ask people around the office what they should do in specific areas of the business. So now I'm like, all right, how do I do X, Y, and Z? And the Chat GPT just comes out and tells me how to do it based on my company.
Yeah. Good question here in the comments. How secure? And I think that was part of what you were alluding to, where you don't want what you are training it on to be training everybody else, which gives that specialness, I guess, to Milo over sharing it with everyone in the world, right?
Yep. Because Milo is basically an extension of what Ted wants. So if we each had our own Milos, it would have its own characteristic of the company that we work for. I can have Milo be Jason Stats and react to me like Jason Stats. And I actually have a Jason Stat bot. If I ever want to create a video that's halfway funny, I put it through my Jason Stat script builder and it builds that script out. So I can have Chat GPT review YouTube videos or things like that. I actually had Chat GPT. I have a Ron Baker Chat GPT for value-based pricing, believe it or not. So there's no end to what you can do.
And how does someone keep that from being leaked? But like, how do you keep
your Chat GPTs? You can either share publicly or keep them private to yourself. Now, if somebody gets it, I really don't care because I don't put social security numbers in there and stuff like that, right? Which I still would never do. I wouldn't upload a report and say, analyze all of my employees, give me a social security list, alpha or numerically from smallest to large. I wouldn't do anything like that. I would think of Chat GPT. If you were in a doctor's office and had to follow HIPAA rules, what would you put into a computer system outside the doctor's office?
That's a good rule of thumb.
There are certain service providers out there that allow you to spin these up into your own closed environment, but it becomes like the cost of it is exponentially higher. So that would be something you would research once you've really developed something and you've got a tool. If you really needed that private information there, the key thing really is personal identifiable information. You don't want to have that in there. You don't want the liability of that would be the key, I'd say.
Yeah, I would think of it, Matthew, just like any other thing. Are you gonna put like your employee, or not your employees, but all your clients' data up in an unsecured Google Drive that maybe has a share link to somebody that you don't like, a deep folder that might be shared with somebody? Yeah. You wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't do it on here either. But Agreed. The thing is, realistically, we shouldn't even be using it for that. What can we analyze with people's personal data? Like a company, I can understand a company. All right, I'm uploading a balance sheet for a company. Okay, it's really just numbers, right? It's not like I can take that now and infiltrate the company and pretend like I'm the CEO and access his credit card information. For the most part, that's not what you're uploading anyway.
Good point.
When I asked AI, how many different types of AI are there? It spit out I think 16 different ones of how AI is used. So we want to just talk about the different types of AI. So we've got traditional, generative, and machine learning. So Ted, how would you qualify or quantify the different types of AI technology?
There's traditional, which is like the chat GPTs and the co-pilots and things of that nature. They're just like, let's talk about it this way. The traditional AI was like free chat GPT. They have limited scope. It doesn't learn. So that's just like what traditional back in the day was. Now, if we talk about, and then you can talk about traditional AI is almost like chat GPT right now, but again, without the subscription, right? Because it's not going to learn from what you do. Then there's generative AI, and generative AI is, I use it all the time. And I just do this with chat GPT. I need an icon so my, Matthew, you know the arch out on the Channel Islands, right?
Yep.
Okay. So I wanted to create an icon for the arch.
Okay.
For Ventura. And so I just uploaded a picture and I said, here's the company I want to generate this icon for. And I want the theme to be coastal. So use coastal colors. And so it generated a logo, and I shouldn't say icon, a logo for that. So I uploaded just a regular real picture. So generative AI creates content, creates images. It can create all sorts of stuff for you. So generative, you give it an idea and it's really creating like an image for you. Or I play the guitar, I can have it create a song for me based on an accountant's. I actually, one time I was doing a webinar for AI and I had it create a song for accountants around April 15th about how crappy their clients are when they get right around that time, asking for things or not giving them the right paperwork that they want and stuff like that. And it wrote out the song. It gave me all the chords. It told me how to strum it and everything. And I sang that song, and I sang that and played that song on one of my webinars.
And then
machine learning, data. It's like my Milo, right? My Milo learns. I have to tell it to learn, but my Milo also learns when I just type things into him as well. He just keeps learning. I can hard code learning into Milo, or as I'm typing, Milo learns as well.
So this would be, just to put it in the QuickBooks speak, this would be like the bank feeds as they are trying to homogenize all these transactions, and it will start to recommend the things that you want to categorize it to, or something in like MakerTub where you put in a purchase order or a document and it's different for one over the other, where it starts to learn the
sales tax. Sales tax should go to the sales tax chart of account, and not just to cost of goods sold or whatever you want to put it to. Yeah.
Which I think this leads to a question that was posted in here. What is the possibility of AI basically becoming self-aware or becoming corrupted based on the things that it learns?
Skynet is real.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what the funny thing is? I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about like these guys that are doing the large learning models. Didn't they watch all the movies we watched growing up?
I know, right? Come on.
There's literally a whole lot of movies saying this is a bad idea.
Yeah. And guess what? They know it too. They're like, yeah, we know that this is a possibility, but obviously we're in an AI race right now. Is it going to be the United States? Is it going to be China? Who's it going to be that is the AI dominant country. And it really matters because AI, if you think about AI, what we do just in accounting, think about what we're going to use AI for in defense in the future, what we're going to use AI for in all sorts of like negotiations and stuff like that. So
yesterday I was listening to a podcast as well. And then they were specifically talking about AI. They had mentioned that as an example, having AI research AI itself and how to do certain things. And this kind of leads us towards the different levels or layers of where it could become a problem. But currently, AI can complete a human task that's like a 1 hour task. It can complete it faster with a 50% accuracy, and it is improving and doubling in time, like how much it can do every 4 months. So when they talk about artificial intelligence, they also talk about human artificial intelligence. In other words, artificial intelligence becoming as intelligent as humans instead of, I'm not going to get the term right, but like super intelligent, the next level above. And they compared it to a toddler versus an adult. So a toddler trying to teach an adult something is not going to happen very easily. The adult can even placate the toddler and make him, oh, you're so cute. You're teaching us such wonderful things. So we have to be, the concern is when we go beyond human artificial intelligence, are we going to actually understand what it's truly capable of or not? And is it going to go Skynet? Nobody really knows, but I don't
think we'll have to. I don't think in our lifetime we're going to have to worry about it. But it's as fast as it's actually increasing in knowledge is amazing. I'm amazed every time I log in what I can do with ChatGPT. Every freaking time I log in and I do something, not because it's actually changed, but because I just thought of a different way of using it. And I'm like, holy smokes, and then like when you can do things like copy and paste images and it can read it and then store that information. That's why I said every time I see anything about accounting, infographic, whatever, as long as it comes from a source that I trust, I just copy and paste it into Milo and have Milo learn it.
Do you ever talk to yours? A little tip I like to use is on my ChatGPT, you can hit the side and ask it, can you explain how AI can be used in accounting today?
Absolutely. AI can be a game changer in accounting. It can automate repetitive tasks like data entry, invoice processing, and reconciliations, which saves time and reduces human error. It can also analyze large volumes of data quickly, helping identify trends, anomalies, and potential risks. AI-powered tools can assist in forecasting, budgeting, and financial planning by providing more accurate predictions based on historical data.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt you, but can you tell me, does that mean AI accountants are going to take over the world someday in the future?
No worries. It's unlikely that AI accountants will take over the world. While AI can handle many routine and data...
Yeah. Of course they would say no.
Hey, so Linda Russell, how you doing?
Hey, Linda. Yeah.
Talked to you a few times before. So try using perplexity.ai. So Linda says, I'm using ChatGPT as my search engine. Pro tip, perplexity.ai, it was designed to be an AI search engine and will give you better results than ChatGPT. Just FYI.
Yeah. And I want to talk about this whole concept of AI hallucinations, which was really like the catalyst of this talk that we're having, this course that we're creating, because we've all seen like the news of, hey, AI took the bar exam, or AI couldn't do math or couldn't do simple math, where AI hallucinates the truth sometimes. Like it could have just hallucinated that response that you said when you asked it, is it going to take over the world? Maybe that's what you think that you want to hear. And this whole idea of hallucinations isn't necessarily a flaw, but more of a feature. Ted, can you talk a little bit about the concept of AI hallucinating and just making stuff up?
But AI hallucinating nowadays is more of, I don't know if you've ever heard of PEPCAP, but problem exists between keyboard and chair. So honestly, AI hallucinations prior to 4.0 ChatGPT was because it just didn't have the data, right? And it just tried to make up whatever it is. Now, realistically, it's because you, like what I said to you guys, hey, before we got on here, I was telling Dan and Matthew, if I told them, hey, let's all create a blog, and we all typed into ChatGPT, create a blog about accounting and ChatGPT, it might, if we just said that, it might give us all the exact same, roughly the same information. And it might not even know what we're talking about. Is it talking about like ChatGPT taking over accounting? Is it so AI hallucinations are a not so well crafted prompt now, except for like it used to be like you would ask ChatGPT how many R's are in strawberry, and it would tell you 2. Didn't matter how many times you told it there were 3, it would tell you 2. Mine, at least now, and I can only go off of mine, says that there are 3. So it is starting to learn, but it is in most cases now it's the user.
Yeah, and it's this George Costanza gif here about it's not you, it's me. It's if you're not getting the outputs that you want, you really need to change the input that you're giving it.
I'm going to disagree in one area specifically, which is when you're creating an image and you want words in there.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can type out exactly what you want it to say, and it will still always spell it wrong every time.
But Matthew, you can correct the ChatGPT. You can correct it to create the actual words in the image if you tell it to focus on the words in the image.
Yours sounds like it's got a better education than mine. I think mine's still kindergarten or something. So maybe I don't know how to spell. It could be. So it's probably my prompting.
Yeah, like I saw a post where somebody had searched Google, just did a Google search for bees in the computer, and Gemini, the AI overview that came up, actually said there are bees in the computer that have been there since the year 2000. And of course, that's the poster child for, okay, this AI doesn't work at all, because here it's saying that there are bees inside of your computer.
Like honeybees?
Yeah, like real bees.
Like buzzy bees.
But you can Google it now, and the AI overview does not say that.
Okay.
But what it was doing is it was searching the internet, and it found this company that created a blog article about such things, and it was an April Fool's joke, right? So this is one of those things where if it's on the internet, it's true. It found that article and therefore provided you that as truth, and that's something that AI can't do yet, right? Like it cannot measure the value of truth, even though it found an answer for you. Yeah, there were bees in the computer. But in this case, it was totally a joke, and it can't figure out sarcasm or truth or things yet unless you tell it. Now, apparently somebody told the AI overview that is not a true thing, and it doesn't offer you that as truth.
That's funny.
So let's talk a little bit about some prompt examples, right, where they're ineffective and maybe effective, right? So in this example, make a report about accounting, how that is an ineffective prompt.
Yeah, so this is almost like what we talked about the blog, right? We all It's very vague. You have no idea, who am I making the report for? What is the report? Am I talking about accounting, or am I talking about numbers from something that you want to give to me? So you're there. It lacks any context whatsoever. And can I just share something really quickly? I wanted to show you guys something. Matthew, this will show you allow multiple. I'm just going to replace the current share.
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll stop sharing.
So look at this. I said, can you create an image of the bookkeeping department with QuickBooks Online on the computer? And look at what it created for me. So accounting, a bookkeeping department, actually spelled it. So look at how good it's getting now. QuickBooks, it's spelt wrong. I could redo it now, and I could say you spelled QuickBooks wrong up here. But it like small, like it says profit on loss, but it's still pretty darn good now, right? Holy smokes. It's really crazy. So, go ahead and share again, guys. I'm sorry.
That's where, so I'm sure other people seen these reels, right? Where they'll be like, show us a unicorn with great, beautiful wings and make it magical. No, more magical. Make it extremely magical. And they just keep building on top of it, on top of it, on top of it, on top of it until it's just absurd. That's some fun stuff you can do.
Yeah.
So here we're talking about being more effective in your prompt. Create a one-page summary report on the latest accounting trends for small businesses focusing on automation and AI tools. So just by adding more context to the input, you're going to get a more specific answer from the output, right?
And then also, Dan, when we were talking about basic and intermediate levels, that's that's an intermediate prompt right there. That's not even an advanced prompt, because there's still, it's contextually wrong still, but it's better than the other one, honestly. And that's what we're going to talk about in our little prompt thing as well.
Yeah. So in the month of July, Ted and I are going to be doing a four-week cohort where each week we'll break down 4 different modules going from basic, what is it, to intermediate, advanced, and crafting prompts. And each week we'll also have some homework. So because it's at the school, we'll have some homework, some assignments. There will be a cohort only community where you can put in questions and we can talk about them in a weekly follow-up and Q&A session. We can do a group discussion about the prompts that are being created and the outputs, and Ed will be there as the subject matter expert and the promptologist of the group to be able to really dissect and allow us to really unpack that prompt and why maybe it gave us the output that it is. And I'm going to try something really silly and allow you to pay for it what you want, right? There is just a small setup fee to make sure that it is that you're able to attend and we can keep the lights on. But whatever you feel the value of this sort of thing would be is entirely up to you. If you think it's just worth the $97, that's great. That's fine too. If you think it's worth more than, that's fine as well. And hopefully at the end of it, you'll find that it was worth what you paid for it. And we'll be able to level set that. So there's a link there to be able to do that. So any questions or thoughts about what it is that we talked about here today? Matthew, I know you were traveling the globe before all of this. And what do you like in your journey with adopting AI? What has been your thoughts about this technology?
It's been extremely helpful. I actually probably put myself in between the beginner and intermediate, just because there are some more advanced functions I've used by accident, but it's not something where I was always using it consistently every single day. I've definitely been using it a lot more I like being able to talk to it like I was just demonstrating and ask questions, because I can research different things while I'm doing stuff around the house, have this conversation, be learning at the same time. So I think that's pretty powerful. But I do also want to help spread an important message for OpenAI. They've asked you to stop being so polite to the overlords of AI, because it's costing them a whole bunch of money every time you run those extra prompts by saying thank you and it responds back to you.
But Matthew, I always say please, just in case AI takes
That's
over.
exactly right. You can. Yep.
That way I know that when they take over, they're like, hey, that's the guy who always said please. Let's not make him a slave. Let's make him like run the slaves or whatever.
I love it.
Yeah, there's some good questions in there. When are we doing this? So this is in July. We'll be having the weekly sessions for content on Monday at noon. It will be for an hour, maybe an hour and a half. We're baking in some extra time because I'm sure there'll be a lot to talk about. And then the follow-ups are going to be on Thursday for an hour at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever that is for you, and they will be recorded. So if you can't make it for that session, they'll be there for you to review. And I'm sure we'll have an AI summary created from transcript, because the course and a lot of the content was created by AI. So we've actually leveraged AI to create a course on AI. So we're teaching humans how to use AI with AI. Which is
and you know what, Dan, there's one person that this is actually a pretty good comment. It says, might be possible that AI could replace the jobs, but for those who will update themselves and adopt the latest technology, AI can't replace it.
Yeah.
There's more likelihood that AI is going to replace your job if you don't use it, because you're going to be obsolete. You're not going to be able to do. So if you think about the competition in the industry, you're not going to be able to do it as quick as the guy down the street that actually has adopted AI. So the more you can adopt this stuff, the better it is for your practice. You might be obsolete if you don't adopt it because somebody else did, and they're going to do it better.
It's what Uber did to independent taxi drivers.
Exactly. Yeah. They didn't update their technology and stuff like that. And now who takes a taxi nowadays? I only take a taxi if it's more convenient. One's sitting right there, and I'm like, all right, I'll just take a taxi.
Yeah.
But then the taxi driver's always arguing with me that, oh, you don't have cash that you can pay?
Exactly.
Yeah. You know what? My wife let me have $150 for this trip. I'm not going to spend it on a taxi.
Yeah. I think Joe Woodard said it best at the last Scaling New Heights, which if you're going, you won't see me there because unfortunately I won't be able to go, but you'll see Matthew. But he said, AI is not going to take your job. It's the people who adopt AI that are going to be taking your job.
Yep.
So if you're not going to see a robot come into the space, it's the person that is bringing that Milo with them as part of their team.
Yeah, 100%.
All right. We appreciate you joining us here today, Ted. And for those of you that might be considering joining the cohort, we look forward to continuing this conversation over at School of Bookkeeping. And we really appreciate you all joining us here this week. And I'm glad that the construction stopped as I think there was some rain. So they went for lunch, I think.
Nice.
So we will see you next time on the QB Power Hour, which we'll be actually talking about keyboard shortcuts. That's what we thought we were going to be talking about today, but I didn't even know my schedule. You want to check it out on the QB Power Hour? We have the upcoming events and topics there. So we appreciate you joining us here today, and we'll see you next time on the QB Power Hour. Have a great day, everyone.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group, You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.